Cool.
And we're live!
Hello.
Hello, how you going, Griffin?
I'm very good. Hope everyone tuned in to the one a fortnight ago and last week as well.
Yep.
If you don't remember, my name is Griffin.
And I'm Andre, and we're from the Bower. Were you speaking about I tuned into the Our one 2 weeks ago. I thought you were speaking about the Tiny House one from last week.
Oh, well, I'm hoping that everyone has watched all of them.
Well, of course you have. Everyone's watched every single one of these, hasn't they? Now, of course, we have to make sure we maintain a distance. If you notice that we're not actually, right close together like this, it's because we're still maintaining social distancing and we're doing some hand cleaning as well.
And people can do that at home.
Yeah. And our topic for today is maintenance.
Yeah.
So maintaining things, all different types of maintenance, which you do a lot of in the Bower. Basically, it's almost like, because you get so many products in here, you have to maintain everything and check everything that comes in, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the main idea is that the more you maintain things, the more you look after your stuff, the more you clean it regularly, the more you just pay attention to what's happening, the less you're going to have to spend on repairs, the less likely you're going to have to replace stuff. And really, as much as we love repairing stuff here at the Bower, it should be a last resort. If you look after your stuff properly, you make sure you get all the dust out of things, you clean them properly, then you're probably going to be spending less money in the long run.
I've got a secret, a special secret. I'm not a very good maintainer, and
you wait till
I
the
know.
chaos.
So this is a really good review for me, because I'm the sort of person. I'm a creator. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make electronic things, and I want to grab things, and I want to reuse things. I want to reuse this case. I want to make a power supply out of it, and all that sort of stuff. So my mind isn't centered on maintaining and although there are some aspects of my life where it is, and we'll get to those later.
So what you're saying is ignore everything that you say in the next hour?
No, don't ignore everything I say, because we'll be speaking about maintenance. So yeah, I haven't been a very good maintainer, to tell you the truth, in my life, and I need a bit of a kick up the backside and a bit of a review of all the different methods and what we should be concentrating on, because I'm a musician as well, and so I have lots of equipment that I should maintain. Guitars need maintenance, my chords need maintenance, there's a lot of contacts and amplifiers and that sort of stuff, and I should maintain more. So this is going to be a really good review for me to go through and remember all the wonderful things that I should be doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll go through a bunch of stuff. I don't know, run through a list maybe. We'll be going through. Yeah. We'll start with these beautiful front and center. We'll go through some DVD players, but a lot of items are similar. They're cases with electronics, with boards inside them.
And you get a lot of these in, don't you?
All the time.
Heaps of DVD players.
And the first thing, regardless of whether that's the problem or not, the first thing we do is try and clean it up, because once you get dust and grime and all kinds of dirt and stuff in there, and we'll be opening them up in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Once you look in there, and similar with computers and things like that, phones, any foreign agent in there, you just want to try and get it out. You want it to be working in its optimum environment.
Yeah.
So what else we got?
We've got this one here, and apparently I haven't seen this yet, but this has got some nasty corroded contacts in here.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to try and repair. You'll find, this is the other thing as well. I haven't spoken to you about this yet. One thing very big with maintenance is storage and items that have batteries in them.
Oh, yeah.
And I have made the mistake, of course, of leaving batteries in items and then going corroding, that sort of stuff. So that's one thing there. We've got some toasters down here.
Toaster here. Kettles.
Kettles?
We'll do some kettles as well.
We've got some kettles. We've got a toaster here. Toasters! I could try and use them as toasters. Kettles down here. And I've got a special surprise of something I picked up from the side of the road. I love picking up things from the side of the road, and show you what I did with that. And we've got cords as well, like just how to wrap cords and maintaining those.
We'll also go through kind of bits and pieces that you could get for your home kit. Stuff that we use in the workshop, like what's over here. There's a bunch of different. Oh, they're not in shot.
All the trusty sprays that you can get, and there's so many of them. They all do something slightly different. It's good to know which is which.
They are not all created equal. They have reasonably specific things that they do. Andre has more. Andre has many more. You have no idea what's off screen.
Got this whole collection of things off here. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they all do different things, and they all have very specific things, and sometimes they can be disastrous if you do the wrong thing. So we'll kind of walk through that as well, and kind of say, generally for your cleaning purposes, this is perfect, this is perfect, this is absolutely off the table.
Absolutely wrong. Yeah, and a lot of that's got to do with the material you're spraying it on, whether it's like a plastic that might accidentally dissolve, or electrics that don't want something on them and that sort of stuff. But I guess we'll go through those.
Yeah. So, want to get started? I'll start taking one of these guys apart so we can have a look inside, see how badly it's been treated. See if it's been given any love.
And you never know from the outside as well. And the main thing we're going to be speaking about is how do when particulates come into your appliance, and they come into all appliances, they come into all tools. It's just amazing. Even if you think something's sealed up really well, actually, there is a caveat on this. There is really high-end, expensive professional stuff. You can have really nice seals around. Like if you really pay for it, and they've got a special rating on them, Australian Standards rating, that they say they're waterproof and water resistant and that sort of stuff. If you pay for it, you can get a product sealed up. But normal consumer stuff that we're touching every day, like toasters and kettles and DVD players and that sort of stuff, social distancing, they always will get dust in them. And you would tell, I haven't really thought about this. I guess I regard myself as a bit of a sciencey sort of guy, but I hadn't really thought about this before. It's not just the dust that does it, is it? It's dust plus condensation. Would that be right?
Definitely. I think dust just allows a really good. So we're just going to grab some of these screws here. Dust allows for condensation, all kinds of stuff to collect on a surface, which otherwise would be clean, and you can easily wipe things off. The minute you start getting, really anything. It doesn't have to be just dust. You get anything in there, it will start to just mess with the.
And it'll start to collect.
Yeah.
And the more dust you get, and the more it collects. Well, that one looks pretty tough.
Great.
Goodness me.
Should have tried this before.
And the more moisture and condensation you get through. Oh, that was really in time. You get, and the more dust that collects on it, you can actually get the dust. This is especially so for electrical items. I mean, we've got two major categories here. We've got the mechanical and electrical. The more dust you get on condensation, it can actually start to conduct, and it can actually. It's very rare that you get a big short, like a big spark, although you can get that if it's bad enough, but it can start to degrade the quality of your audio. It can start to mess up the way the appliance is working if it's especially sensitive to to its electrical currents and that sort of stuff.
Do you want to talk a little bit about why they have ventilation? Because obviously you can't.
Yes, it's why do they? If dust comes in, then why do they put grills like this and everything so the dust can come in? One of the main reasons in appliances and products and sort of stuff, they have these grills here.
Promise these items are already broken. We're not just destructive.
We should have tried to get this off before. One of the main reasons that they have these slits in them here, and you'll see grills and that sort of stuff, is that when you use electricity, you use power, and when you use power, the item will heat up. So this is to get heat out of the item. So that's why you have these openings, is to actually get heat out of the item. Let's take a look here.
It's actually not too bad.
Yeah. Now, how would you class? Oh, there's a bit of dust around here.
Annoyingly.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for a horrible,
lots of
dusty nightmare. So as you can see, the dust is here, and that's because of the ventilation points.
Yeah.
Which are on the sides here. Down.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, the camera's there, yeah.
I would love to be able to see.
Yeah.
So the ventilation points are there, and you can see all of that dust inside there. Now, at the moment, it's pretty good. It's actually not too...
You class that as not too bad.
I wouldn't be too concerned about that. It's a relatively new item. I'd say it's probably only a couple of years old.
Yep.
And, it all looks pretty clean in there, actually.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. We needed disaster so we can show people.
Yeah. So we would.
If it was full of dust.
Yeah. What steps do you go through to clean something like this? I mean, obviously, do you start with a cloth? Do you spray? How do you do it?
Probably just use this is not the this is a little bit rough, but generally if we're going to do anything with a really soft brush, we would go through and kind of clean all of the contacts up. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that. Oh yes, we're being prompted about safety.
Oh right.
Obviously, before any of this was to happen,
say it.
Just
you pull the cord out first, wouldn't you?
Shane is a terrible lip reader, and a lip speaker, and we're terrible lip readers.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first thing you do before you take anything out, before you take any screws out, take it away from all the walls.
Yeah.
Unplug it. Make sure it's sitting in the middle of a table with nothing attached to it. You want a nice, empty, clear space to work. And obviously, if you're going to be taking this thing off, don't do it unless you feel confident. In fact, just don't do it. Just watch us instead.
Just watch us do it instead. We'll do it for you. If someone's got an item like this at home and they suspect it's got a lot of dust in it and it's been sitting around for ages, but they obviously don't want to buy another one. They want to do the right thing and try and recycle and reuse and keep on using that item. Even if there's not something directly wrong with it, could they bring it here to the Bower and you could maintain it for them?
Of course, yeah.
You just do a general maintenance and clean out. So that is something else that the Bower would do, yeah.
Well, that's something that I'm hoping a lot of the Bower community already know about our repair cafes, which are obviously not running at the moment. But that kind of thing, general maintenance, small repairs are exactly what we do at our repair cafes. That by donation, you bring an item along if you're a little bit concerned about it, you haven't used it in a while, you want to make sure that it's working properly, or it's filled with dust, or it's got something a little bit strange going on. That's exactly the kind of small stuff that us and the other volunteers at the Bower can actually work on with you. And that's really beautiful. We're trying to do this to continue passing that knowledge on. Because it's great when people bring stuff in and they're like, well, it's full of dust and I don't really know if it's a problem or whether I should deal with it, whether I should go at it with a brush, or you can also get small blowers, which are fantastic.
And there's I've found this very extremely annoying that
off-brand
is that the Servicol Airbrush Air Duster. So all this is just air.
Do you have any left?
No, none. It seems to because you're meant to do short, sharp bursts. But it comes out really, really fast to blow away dust that you can't quite get to into nooks and crannies. But of course, I kept my finger down, and it only lasted a week or something like that, which is really bad. That's how you should short if you've got this sort of stuff. And are we worried about the aerosols? It's okay to spray CFC free and recyclable, of course. You don't want to have one that's got aerosols. I think they're probably all like this now. If you've got one of these and you're using it, short, sharp sprays.
Works really well. It is expensive.
It is expensive, I know. It's like just compressed air is expensive. I could compress air here now. But it won't be as strong as this, yeah.
Okay, so probably, because this is relatively clean, we would
it's a bit
clean
boring,
some of the
this one,
dust
and
out.
it's got no knobs or anything for us to speak about either.
That is actually.
I like to clean knobs.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah. We're gonna leave that there.
You'll see later on how I do that. It'll be most interesting for everybody.
So it's a good point. There aren't any pots in the front. However, these things at the back.
Pots?
These are. Oh yeah.
Pots and pans?
I'm gonna go into pot.
Yeah. You mean yeah.
I was avoiding the word.
The word knob. Okay. Yeah. I understand.
So at the back here, these are RCA ports. You will see these on every single AV item you've ever owned.
Yeah,
I'm sure
so
everyone
many of
is
them.
really familiar with them. We're not going to go into what they do, but you'll see often on some of the older ones. It'd be great to have an older one. You'll see that there's a lot of corrosion on this kind of stuff. This is your main contact point for your leads. Leads like We have another.
You've got one here, but they're female as well. Have we got RCA male? You know, I've got so many at home. They're fully out of my pockets at home because I collect leads, of course, stupidly.
Of course you do. You want to head off because I'm too close to you?
Yes, I'll head off over here. Only a couple of months ago, I actually had. It wasn't a DVD player, but it was a piece like this, and it actually had some ports like this on it, some RCA ports. And when I plugged it in like that and turned it, I got crackling in the audio.
Oh, really?
I got crackling in the audio.
So that crackling, I'm sure loads of people would know.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't. That crackling is essentially bits of grime, bits of dirt, and bits of dust that are sitting in there on the contact point. When you move it, it's disrupting that really beautiful free flow, and that's the first thing, and it's quite an easy thing to fix.
Free flow of electrons.
There's a question about, because it's a DVD player and it has that laser in it, when you're dusting, is there anything you should do to make sure you don't scratch or damage that?
Well, look, if you're dusting, I would stick away from, I mean, if you can see here, I mean, this is obviously the main disc mechanism. The laser is under there. I don't know if you can actually see it.
Can you get to the laser,
well,
Griff, usually? Or do they try and seal it up a bit?
That was my point, is that the laser is free, but
it's
generally hidden under a bit of plastic, and I would stick away from this mechanism. This either, you know, you can do a little bit of maintenance on the freeing the mechanism, but generally this is not where you're going to get your problem. Where you're going to get your problem is in contacts here, you know, contacts in, if anything is disjointed here, or once you start getting really thick coatings of dust and condensation on here, that's where you'll start to get your, you know...
What happens?
And then, the other thing is can we just come over here? These guys here, as far as all I know we're speaking about maintenance, but once you get that thick dust, as you know, one of the first things to go on a board like this would be the electrolytic caps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these things, and you can see that they sometimes get a little bubble in them or something, and that can be a result of a dust build up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what else have you seen? Like, what have you seen dust do?
I've seen dust do a couple of different things. So I've seen it build up on a board like this. And what happens is these electrolytic caps are polarized, so they've got a positive and a negative on them. And when we say polarized, and you see the stripe down here, the white stripe is always the negative. So you've got to be very careful that when you're doing electronics, that when you put, especially these electrolytic caps here, when you put them into an electronic board and you solder them in, if you're doing electronics, that you get them the right way around. Last year I replaced one of these and I got the electrolytic cap around the wrong way, and bang! It just blew up. These can blow up. So if you get a large enough build-up of dust, and it would happen on the top of the board here, and you can actually see some leads underneath here. If they start to short out a little bit, the cap the positive and negative starts to sway. It doesn't quite know which one is positive and negative because you're getting a short across them. And especially something on a power supply like this, which is making the 240 volts from the main go all the way down to like 12 volts or 5 volts to run these. These guys here, these guys are under a lot of strain, like electrical strain, and then if you put the mechanical strain of the dust on them as well, they can eventually blow up. So that's what I've seen a lot of, and of course I've seen boards. Can I just show in here? Of course, this is what's called a double-sided board, or it might even be a multi-board. Yeah, it might have multi things. Oh no, it's actually, it looks like double-sided.
What do you mean by that?
It's got electrical contacts on the top. See how these, like these components here are actually soldered onto the top of this? They don't go through the board. There's no through holes. There are for some of them. But also on the other side of the board, there will be more components as well. It's a double-sided board. This board here is a single-sided board. It's only got the copper and the solder on the bottom of the board. Now generally what you get with these ones here is, because the dust settles on the top, you don't generally get the underneath of these suffering because the dust isn't settling on them. But if you see a green board like this, and all computers have these, once you get the contacts on the top like this,
Mhm.
and the dust and the moisture settling on here, this is where I've seen a lot of problems. And you've probably seen it as well.
Well,
yeah?
it's also like you were talking about problems being really dramatic. You got a
I
question?
have a question real quick.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you cleaning with compressed air. I have
Yes.
a question about vacuums. Can you use a vacuum to get the dust out, or is there a reason to use compressed air?
There's one really good reason, is that it's like a mechanical reason. You can create a much bigger blast of air forward than you can suddenly sucking backwards. So the first thing you do is you do the compressed air and you blast it forward with something like the little dust spray thing I had there before. The air compressed thing I had before, and you blow the dust out of the places first, and then the vacuum is probably the last thing you use when you just want to pick up all the bits and pieces in the end. I find that a vacuum will get rid of a certain amount of stuff.
It just
But
isn't
it won't
efficient.
pick up. It won't pick up everything.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you have a really specific, and you can get very specific vacuums for maintenance and stuff. But your household vacuum just won't do it. You won't get a close enough contact to be able to suck all that dust off it. You're much better to be able to use compressed air. Try not to blow on it, because obviously you're going to be shooting condensation all over the boards, and that's not a great thing.
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, because
blow. You mean?
yeah, sorry. I mean, like
right.
if you blow with your mouth, then you're just going to be spitting particles of moisture all over the board, and it may not do anything right then, but down the track, if you then close it back over and there's still a bit of dust on there, you just it just goes back to maintenance again.
I blow on things too much. I shouldn't do it.
That's because the air compressor is expensive.
That's good. Yeah, it's because I need to buy another one of those. Isn't maintenance an amazing subject? When we first had this subject, I was like, oh, we're going to speak about maintenance of things. What about electronics and solder and that sort of stuff? But it's just so detailed and involved, isn't it? It's great. So cleaning other things.
Well, do you want to go first? I was going to say, because we've both been touching this, do you want to grab the alcohol spray?
Yes.
But that is actually a really good segue into what we should talk about next. I know, segue. It's beautiful. Going into a couple of the kind of different maintenance tools. Not all of them will be used on stuff like a DVD player. I think we'll go up in how finicky they are to use, I guess. So, first one here is just your regular kind of cleaner. That is made up of a bunch of different things. It's got some soap in there, you can get all different kinds. Here, get rid of that.
Get rid of this one? Do you reckon this had more dust in it? Who knows?
We're never going to know. No one is ever going to know.
Never going to
know. No one. So, that's just your cleaner, or your like glass cleaner, stuff like that. That is mostly water. You don't want that going anywhere near your electrical stuff.
No.
You can clean the outside of things, but still, even that, be careful. Try not to spray things with it. Spray onto a cloth if you're going to be cleaning the outside of stuff, and keeping things maintained on the outside, because that is important as well. What's the next one? Here, silicone spray. Show more of this. What? You want me to close? Just use your voice. Speak. Okay. I'm just going to move on. Silicone spray. That's something that, again, is not used at all inside things. This is a lubricant.
I've got one of those as well. I've got the WD-40 branded silicone spray at home, and I've actually used this a lot for mechanical things, like if I'm cutting wood or something like that, and I want to make sure my jigsaw is moving properly. The mechanism in my jigsaw that's a really dangerous thing that gets stuck is that on a jigsaw, when a jigsaw is the one where you've got the blade that goes up and down, and you cut along like that. I can lock it, and so it's just on, and so you don't actually have to hold the pressure on it. There's a button on the side that locks it on, and so when I'm doing that, it can actually lock on and just stay on, even though I'm not holding it. It's very dangerous. So I use this in extremely dangerous, because a jigsaw is just running by itself like it's a little animal or something. So I use this for mechanical things, but I've never used this for electrical
Well, that's
type
so
things.
that's the thing. You know, silicone spray is really good. You can even use it to clean zips. You know, in your furniture, clothing, stuff like that.
Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It works really well for mechanical things. You don't want it going anywhere near the inside of stuff. You know, WD-40 is another one. You hear it all the time. People talk about it like it's a cleaner for anything and everything, and it does have loads and loads of uses. That guy.
And
Obviously, it's the brand, but it's also water displacement.
the first person to say what WD-40 stands for in the comments gets an "I love you" from Andre. First person, you got to tell me, Shane. Who's the first person to say?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
If it comes up, WD-40 is fantastic for so many different things. Again, it's a really good lubricant. It's a water displacement. You know, so it can be good for cleaning and sealing things. But again, when you're using electrical, you know, when you're doing electrical repair and maintenance, it's just not. It's not particularly useful. It actually, we looked it up before, it's half kerosene, naphtha, and it also has mineral oil in it.
What's mineral oil? So that's oils from rocks. Mineral oil.
You might actually be able
Do you
to
know
answer
what
that
mineral?
better.
Do you know what?
I don't know.
Do you know what mineral oil is?
Well, just say it's a non-drying oil.
Right. It's a
So-
non-dry.
but
Well,
Oh,
it's a non-drying oil, yeah,
Right.
and
So
a
the-
non-evaporating oil.
Exactly, and so it is an oil. It's a grease. It's not something that you want anywhere near your electrical appliances. And people try and use it all the time to clean up, like the RCA ports that we were looking at before, to clean up all kinds of electrical stuff, and it's just not good. for
No,
that.
don't use WD-40 generally on electrical things. It's more for mechanical things.
However, we have got there again, and I promise we're not.
But
Sponsored.
this says WD-40 as well, though, Griffin.
Oh, all right,
What's
well,
going on?
Give me
I don't understand.
Blue Peter.
Blue Peter, yeah.
So that
Here we
is,
go.
regardless of brand, this is WD-40 brand, but it is actually a contact
Contact
I don't know
cleaner.
if you can see that on there. They have a bunch of different products now. WD-40 is not just WD-40. That is contact cleaner. So that, and
Contact cleaner.
there's another one there. They all do pretty much the same thing.
David Painter got it. Water displacement number 40.
Oh,
Who got it?
David Painter.
David.
Loved.
Mr. Painter, I love you. Thank you.
I feel like we need to do that more. That was really good.
I didn't quite
I like
know
it.
what sort of I love you I was going to give, but just a generic one, like a mate's love, David. Nice one.
That was beautiful. Yeah, contact cleaner. So this is something that you can use on your electronics. It evaporates entirely. It is basically an alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, with compressed air inside it. And so when you spray it onto your contact, it's not going to leave any residue there. It's going to blow.
It's like magic. Oh, I've got a thing to show.
Do you want to go and show the thing?
Yes. Can I show it now? Is this a good time to show
I
it?
think it's time.
So when we're speaking about contact cleaner, and as I said before, as I pick up strange things from the sides of the roads all the time, and like electronics and that sort of stuff, which my wife absolutely loves me bringing home strange things all the time. Although my wife works at the Bower as well, so she brings lots of wonderful things home from the reused things home from the Bower as well. Our house is full of Bower things. Someone had just put this out on the road. They just chucked it on the side of the road, and it was many years ago. I think Louise, you were telling me, my wife was telling me it was in Melbourne where I picked this up, and I took a quick look at it. I quickly plugged it in.
The other side.
Well, it's
covered in dust.
because it's covered in dust because I know it's re-covered in dust because it's been sitting in the front room for so long. I don't want to show the back of
No,
it.
spin it around. Show people.
Show people the shame of it. Oh no, actually, this has actually been in the living room. We actually use it, and it was hardly working at all when I first got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
What do you mean hardly?
So when I used the volume, all I heard was. Is that the tone or the volume? Oh yeah. The tone wasn't working. The radio was working, but it was really silent. Like the volume wasn't making a difference when I changed it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's got. Take a look at this. Come on, baby. Come on. It's a bit temperamental. Oh, she doesn't want to come out. There's a record player down the bottom.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
really cool. There you go.
And this needs to be maintained as well. Isn't that fantastic? So it's a portable boombox. So I took this apart and I put contact cleaner onto everything. So I sprayed it down.
Where exactly did you put it?
I actually took the whole thing apart and I sprayed it on the inside. Onto these contacts here. I sprayed it throughout the mechanism a little bit, and I sprayed it on some contacts on the back end and also contacts within the unit as well. And when I plugged it all back in and turned it on, it was working perfectly. Like the volume was no crackling, and the contact cleaner is like, sometimes it's like magic, especially when a mechanical electrical contact has got like a a knob or a slider or something like that. When it's got some corrosion or some dust in it and it's crackling, contact cleaner is amazing, and it can bring an object like this that someone threw out back to life. And my wife and I have been enjoying this now for another 10 years, and we'll probably continue to. And it's worth about $250 on eBay as well, because they're wanted items.
That is a really beautiful example.
Yes.
That is a very beautiful example of particularly because there was nothing wrong with the I guess with the item itself.
No, they thought it was broken. They thought, oh, they can't get that back again, and it just came back to life. It was amazing.
So you grabbed a
You
grabbed the kettle.
Look, this has still got.
So I believe that is the one. That is the aftershock. So you want to grab the other one?
Ah, that's the aftershock. Yes. So what are we looking at here?
So I'm sure again, everyone, this is a common item at home, and you'll also notice that so much of the time. Let's head back. This is the worst one. So you can see in there. I'm sure that's a fairly familiar sight with the plastic kettle. I mean, it is absolutely covered in not only corrosion, calcium carbonate, but also
Stop moving it.
It is covered in corrosion, and it's also been burnt. It's also got a little bit of rust in there.
So it's completely black.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what colour should that be? Because I'm not close to kettle elements. You know more about kettle elements than I do.
I guess so. Well, I mean, look,
what colour should it be?
This is a much nicer one. In there, that's actually after.
Oh, it should be showing like chrome almost.
So that's after one of the other volunteers cleaned it up, and it looked just as bad as the one we showed you before, and now it looks fantastic. Yeah. And that's also, I mean, not only is it gonna, like, if you're using a kettle that is really badly corroded, not only is it going to basically it's going to put stuff in your water as you heat it, but also
God, that's so black.
It's just not going to heat up. It's not going to have the same contact efficiency. There you go. That's the perfect word. It's not going to have the same efficiency. And now this, it is like beautiful old method. To do something like that, there's plenty of different ways to do it. But basically, what you want to do is you want to get a really strong, or a reasonably strong acid. But you can use household items. You can use a lemon, you can use vinegar, you can also buy stuff, but generally that kind of stuff, particularly for coffee machines, are really expensive. Essentially what you want...
So scale, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
it's called scale.
So corrosion on there is calcium carbonate or lime scale.
Lime scale.
Yeah, and as it gets
scientific.
On there... and as it gets on there, it's going to reduce the efficiency of your kettle. And so it's worth doing every couple of months, really. And I don't know if we want to do it now, maybe. Yeah. We can get a lemon here in real time and put it on here. All you need to do... We'll get it. This is very quickly becoming a cooking show. That's all I want to do. I just want to cook.
Oh, you want to be in a cooking show, yes.
So... You can do all kinds of stuff with the lemon. You can use just the juice. You can blend it and put it in there. But basically what you're doing is you're getting a lemon. One should be more than enough for a small kettle like this.
The nasty one.
And you want to get the juice and you want to mix it with water. And you want to leave it to sit for like maybe 10, 15 minutes up to an hour or so. And then you want to boil it. And theoretically, that will clean and renew the inside of that kettle. So it's easier to use. It's more hygienic, and it's going to work better.
So there's acid in the lemon juice.
Yeah, which is going to take all that scale off. Obviously, afterwards you need to give it a really good rinse. You need to clean it. You need to clean all the lemon bits out of it as well. But if you clean it up well, then it should be working like new again.
Lemon's not just for gin and tonics. Oh, that's lime, isn't it? Sorry. Vodka and...
Gin is the active ingredient. I don't think it matters if it's lemon or lime.
The active ingredient, yeah. Are you going to do this now?
Yeah, might as well.
Oh, nice one.
We'll just leave it to sit and then we'll move on to a couple of the other things.
Sure. So you might think, so what if the element is black? Like, isn't it still going to heat up anyway? And this has got to do with thermodynamics and efficiency and all that sort of stuff. But what happens is when the element heats up, it's first got to heat the lime scale before it heats the water. So that lime scale has obviously been heated up many times past, probably the element gets way past 100 degrees because it's got to heat the water up to 100 degrees at sea level. And if it's heating up the lime scale before it heats the water up, you are losing a lot of energy, a lot of efficiency. And I would say it'd actually be interesting, a really interesting thing if any younger people are watching, you're doing science experiments and that sort of stuff. Wouldn't it be great to get a kettle that's got a lot of lime scale like this, really dark, and so we control for variables and that sort of stuff. You get the same kettle that has been cleaned out properly and boil the water off 10 times and time how long they take and that sort of stuff. I would say that you would get a much reduced efficiency with something like this with that lime scale on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're putting a whole lemon in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's plenty of different ways to do it, and some people blend the whole lemon in there. I mean, I think the juice will be enough, or hopefully it'll be enough. Also, if you do let it sit for a little bit longer, it's going to be more effective. We've only got a limited amount of time, but we'll see what it'll do. I wonder if we do it on the really, really insane one, or just the reasonably... No, let's do it on the really bad one.
Do it on the insane one. Bauer electrical label from a fortnight ago. I hope you were watching. So you're pouring in the lemon and the water into the kettle now. And that looks great.
Alright, so we'll put that one aside for a moment.
And sorry, do you just leave it like that, or do you turn it on? Or
no, so you leave it to sit for 10 minutes to an hour, and then you boil it.
But then you boil it with that in it.
Yes, so it's really important you can boil it with the lemon, and that's going to be where you get your clean.
But you let it sit first so the acid can eat into the lime scale a little bit. Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. I want to see that come off.
Well, I really hope it's going to work.
Yeah. So are we going to do that at the end?
Yeah, we'll do it. Well, in about 10 minutes it's going to sit, right?
Yes.
Bring it over to
How are we going for time? What's the time now?
Oh, we're 37 minutes in.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
It's been 37 minutes already. Time's going so much quickly when you're having fun.
Do you want to start to talk about cord maintenance?
Yes,
just quickly,
cords.
can you talk toasters and microwaves?
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
yes, toasters and microwaves.
So I guess we'll stay in the kitchen. This is a toaster that I am very familiar with. As again, everyone will know, toasters get filled with crumbs.
Oh yes.
We don't have a physical representation of what they can do, but basically, inside here there are toaster elements. They're basically pieces of wire that heat up. Put it simply, and that's obviously where you get your toasting. But if they get, the more stuff, again, it's talking about getting foreign bodies and stuff in there. The more crumbs and stuff sits in there, the more likely it is that you will make contact with that really, really hot element with a little bit of crumb or a little bit of bread or whatever you decide to put in there. And if you make contact with those elements, you can cause a blowout, and it will.
I've done that to a few toasters.
Oh yeah, and it's really, really, really common. Some toasters have, like this guy, have a little tray.
Oh, it's got a pull-out tray. Nice one.
You can see there's a little bit of, some bits and pieces in there. It's already had a little bit of a clean out.
Yep.
That's pretty handy, but still, generally, I know it feels rough, but seriously, you want to be doing this every month or two. If you use your toaster every day, you think about how many crumbs and bits and pieces you're going to get in there.
Yeah.
I know it looks violent. Maybe you could get a towel or something down just to kind of reduce the impact.
Because bits can get, especially nowadays, in the old days, in the 50s and 60s, when we all just had square white sliced bread and there was no bits hanging off and that sort of stuff, everything was fine. But now that we've got Turkish and bagels, and we're toasting all these different types of exotic breads that have got different thicknesses and widths and all that sort of stuff. And I'm half Latvian, so I love all my my dark breads and my black breads and my strange oval breads and that sort of stuff. And so I'm putting them at angles, and sometimes they warp and stuff. We're getting more and more of this sort of stuff inside our toasters, and I have blown out a toaster before and I looked in and I saw it was there. It was caught on one of the elements.
Yeah. So you can see often because this is by far the most common fault for toasters, and the really annoying thing is they used to manufacture toasters where you could replace the elements. It was really easy. The elements,
did they?
Oh, absolutely. Elements were
rotters.
I know. Elements were slide in and slide out.
Again, rotters.
Basically, you could sit them in, and when they were damaged, because they're a consumable item. So when they were damaged, you'd pull them out and you replace it.
They don't do that anymore. They're such rotters.
They should. Someone else, not us. Someone should design a toaster where you can replace the element, because that is 95% of the faults.
There's a comment here that the crumbs also cause mechanical failures in the
lever as well. Yes,
that's true.
Correct.
If that's happening, is there a way to deal with that? Could you use compressed air or something?
I think you may have to open it if it's causing.
It's hard to.
meant to have a?
No, so the slide is off it. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
We can't show you because this toaster is well and truly done. But
why is that, Griffin? Why is this toaster done?
That's because I had an episode with it. I had
not an episode, but we shot a video with it.
Oh no, I had an episode.
Oh right.
I had a fierce mental episode. It was a battle with this toaster to try and get the thing apart for another video, which you guys will see in a week or so.
Is this the toaster that you used?
Yes. But anyway, in terms of getting crumbs everywhere, so all of the mechanism obviously is here in the front, the buttons are here, and all of it can be affected by crumbs. The toaster is essentially a metal cage with all of its pieces inside. There's no safeguarding, everything just falls down into it. There's loads of open holes because you need a lot of ventilation because of the amount of heat that runs through this thing.
Because they want it to fail.
And because they want it to fail. Because
of heat and stuff.
Well, but
I shouldn't say they want it to fail. They don't.
But generally manufacturers, it's so much
happy.
cheaper to create something like this, not just so you buy another one, but also because creating things that you can remove, it just requires more design,
it
requires
does.
more forward thinking. Anyway. Microwaves. Well, there's a couple around. We might not, without grabbing one, I think the very similar thing goes for microwaves. In terms of maintenance, it's just like all of your kitchen appliances, because you've got food in there. It's like you just want to keep it clean moving forward.
Cockroaches.
Oh well, yeah, cockroaches. Because moving forward, I don't know.
Moving forward or cockroaches? What does this mean? He would have signed it.
Yeah, that's true.
Cockroaches. I come from Melbourne, and when I come up to Sydney, there are so many cockroaches in Sydney.
And why is that? Because of the heat.
Is that why?
And that's the same reason why they live in these things. Because they're these beautiful, warm hotels. The back of microwaves.
And they're crackly and slinky and slimy, and if you hit them with a shoe, they explode and all that sort of stuff. So you've got this. Are we going to do this first, and then can we do chords?
Yes. Chords are the last. Chords are want to get it through everything, and then chords.
Yeah, because chords are kind of my thing because I'm muso chords and that sort of stuff, and I've been mixing people and that sort of stuff. So yes, battery corrosion. Look at this. I need some love. I'm faulty, damaged or missing parts. So sometimes in the Bauer you'll come in and you'll see an item. All Bauer items actually have a label on them telling you what condition they're in, whether they're fully working or whether they need a little bit of love. This is a I need some love. I need some love radio here. And if we open up the compartment, now you had problems getting the compartment back on again, didn't you?
I did, but it was easy to get off, so I'm hoping that you can pull it apart again.
This is like a cheap. This is a cheap, like Lennox,
Yeah, shame them.
Yeah, I mean, but who's heard of Lennox?
It is a cheap radio, but it's something that some people would really rely on.
Yeah, and they're so handy as well, like for your working or something like that. You could portable with battery. So a lot of people like these sorts of things.
But this kind of stuff, I mean,
I feel like I'm going to hurt myself.
You'll be okay. Regardless of,
oh yes, look at that. Can you see that, Shane?
Yeah.
Nasty.
Regardless of quality, so many different appliances have battery terminals like this where you're replacing, your AA, whatever it is.
Yep.
And you mentioned it before. I mean, if you want to talk about taking batteries out,
yes,
because that's where that corrosion comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're storing items that are battery run and you're going to store them for any more, what would be the limit? What would be the cutoff? If you're going to put something away for, say, a month, would you take the batteries out?
I would say a month.
I would. If you're going to put them away, if you use it every week,
I think with every week you'd probably be okay.
you'd probably be okay.
But generally the idea is if you know that something's going to go into a drawer or you're going to forget about it, just take the batteries out. I actually don't know the reason, like the chemical reason why.
But they've got nasty chemicals in them, batteries. That they've got lots of chemicals, and one of the main, and this is actually a selling point for them now as well these days, is the non-leaking batteries, because batteries have. They have to create electricity, so they have to create an electron flow from one terminal to the other. The types of chemicals that they use inside them have to be active. They have to, because they have to generate that electricity flow. As a result, you can get them leaking because they've always got like an internal pressure. Do you know what I mean? They're always, even if they're just sitting here like this, they've always got a little bit of activity in them. So no battery can be perfect. There's always a little bit of leakage, inside the battery, that sort of stuff. I love Duracells, by the way. They're expensive, but if you want a really good battery, personally, Duracells, but they're a bit more expensive. So, and the battery can leak, and then you get this corrosion. So take batteries out of items if you're going to be storing them for a while.
If that corrosion, because often this can be an issue as well, it's one of the first things we check if like a battery radio comes in. I've put them here, the answer is sitting on the table.
Yes.
If you want to clean some of that corrosion off, the whole, you can see it, it's surface corrosion. It's so rarely, unless it's really, really, really poorly damaged, or you can see it going into the appliance itself. Generally, if there's just a tiny little bit of corrosion there on the contacts, it's really easy to clean up.
That's actually coming off pretty good. I'm not getting the shininess back. Here, but I think you probably get a proper electrical contact back there. Oh yeah, that's shining up just a little bit more. Obviously I do more than that, but you can see that it is quite easy to get rid of. But if that's left there like that, like I've opened up appliances before with batteries in them, and this whole thing, like this is actually falling apart. It's corroded so badly that this contact is actually, will break off, sort of thing. So it should look like this guy over here. Yeah. But luckily this one was actually saved. This was, if you're going to see some corrosion, this is about as much as you want. Is about this much, I would say, because you can get rid of this. You can clean this up, put some new batteries in it, and the appliance is probably going to be working fine. But they can be a lot further gone than that, can't they?
But that's something that all of you could do at home. You can use like a brass brush. You can use a small engraver or like a Dremel tool if you have it.
Dremel, I love Dremel.
Steel wool, sandpaper, they all work. Basically what you want is you just want to reduce the amount of stuff between your contacts.
Yes.
That's so often a problem that comes in. And it's a very quick one to solve. It's great. So I know you've been raring to go to tell everyone about cords.
About my cords.
Oh my god, look at that.
This is like, I've got bags and bags of cords. I actually make my own cords at home as well, because I've purchased some cords before and looked in this is for music, for musicians, for guitars and plugging in things. I've looked at the contacts in them before and been dissatisfied with the actual contacts, with what I saw. So I actually buy my own cord and my own contacts and make up my own cords. Now, we're speaking about cord rolling. Basically, and this is Right. Yeah. Yes. We should. Should we start with electrical cords with power
Well,
cords?
this one just there next to you.
Oh, there is, of course. Yeah. Now,
And just a quick note on looking at them, and I know we're doing fault finding more next week, but like how to look at a cord and know.
that looks safe.
I guess how to keep cords in perfect nick and what to be a bit suspicious about.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you know you have a problem with them.
I think that's a problem. But why don't you
Yeah,
start with the good one?
Yeah.
Andre, we'll talk about that one next week.
This is
Wow.
a beautiful disaster.
Yeah. That's. We'll have to show that one another time.
But
definitely next week.
what?
Oh, look
So
at this.
if you-
This is very well coiled. There's a few things to take note of here. When you get if you buy a new appliance, which you shouldn't be, you should be reusing and recycling. But when you get a new appliance or you get a fairly new cord from somebody, the manufacturer will coil up that cord inside the box. And so when that comes out, it annoys me because it has memory. Because I want all my cords to be all nicely looped around, but the manufacturer will sort of will coil it in like an oval or a figure eight or something like that. Because it's been sitting there like that, it's very hard to get those cords back into some other shape that you might like a nice circle.
Why might you want them in a different shape?
Why might you want them in this way?
Yeah, what's the benefit of having them in beauty? It's not just aesthetic.
No, the idea. Well, if you're really anal about your cords, which I am, the idea is to have these. I mean, that this cord would love it if it was laid out straight all the time with no pressure on it whatsoever. If it was just lying there laid out straight, but you can't have them all laid out straight. So
Why is that?
So you've got to. Because they take up way too much room, and you trip over them. And
why do they? What's the difference? What happens if you coil them up that causes a problem?
Oh yeah, well
Stress
this
point.
yeah, well this is what I'm getting to. So it would love to be laid out straight, but we can't. We've got to store it, so we've got to coil it up. So how do we coil it up? We coil it up with the minimum stress on the cord that we can have at any one point, and that means if we take any one point of the cord, because all you need is to have one point of the cord fail, and the whole cord has failed. So you want the whole cord to be in the gentlest arc that you can, and that of course is a circle. So that's why we want to do that. And there's a technique for actually for rolling up cords, and sometimes when you try and go into a circle, if you just try and roll things up into a circle like this, I'm naturally doing.
You had to think about doing it badly.
I know. I can't do it badly. So when you're rolling up a cord like this, this is a wonderful cord. This is a stereo Corroded Jack cord. Sometimes some cords won't want to go into a circle, but you can make them go into a circle. I'm not saying that you have to make, say, for instance, a power cord go into a circle. If it's already got a natural curve to it, you might do more damage to it by forcing it back into a different shape. So you would keep the shape that it originally had from its manufacturer. But if you have a cord like this and you're going to wind it up, the action is to go over and you actually twist the cord. So what you're doing is you're lining the cord up around the circle. So I'm actually.
We get it close on your fingers when you do that twist.
Yeah. So I've actually got it here, and as I'm coming along, see how I'm twisting the cord over, and what that's doing is laying down the cord, and so that I didn't do that very well. And you want same size circles.
Yeah.
Twisting, and so you end up with a really nice, neat cord like that. And that's how, for me, I've got expensive audio gear, and some of these cords can be very expensive. When you're at it's the hardest thing to do if you finish a gig or you've finished a rehearsal, or you've played to somebody, and everyone's gone home and you're left there. You have to pack up. The tendency is to just chuck all your cords in. You just want to get home. You're tired and that sort of stuff. I'll do it at home, but you don't. So I make myself go and I make sure that now that I'm much quicker at it, I make sure that when I pack my cords away, they're all there. This is what happens if you don't do it properly. See the hitch? See the kink? in there. That means that I didn't do this cord. Probably is what it means, and that's been annoying me all day. So I just quickly have to.
And I would also maybe talk about exactly.
Yeah.
I would also talk about fasteners if this is something that you want to do at home, because obviously Andre's talking about specifically kind of audio cables, but it applies to everything. It applies to all of your kitchen appliances. Something like that, which is just your everyday Australian cord, not attached to anything. I think it's really important once you've got, because you're not moving stuff around the home too much, I think it's really important to do a similar version of this when you're putting things in, when you're putting power cords, because the more stuff is lying in the ground or stuffed behind, often we see faults all the time with things like fridges and washing machines that are being pushed against the wall, and the plug is sitting there, and the first thing you do when you push weight against it is you stress that cord.
So I've seen
like
that before.
that.
Ugh.
And that's you're going to get a break in that cord over time. The same thing will happen with your TV, with all kinds of stuff. And so I guess it's a good time to point out fasteners as well. This has been done with cable ties. Cable ties are horrible and the worst, and we use them occasionally, but they're really not ideal. They're single-use plastic. This, however...
Single-use plastic, bad.
Very bad. Andre, however, has got these beautiful little Velcro ties. They are so cheap. You can buy a pack of 20, 50, whatever, for like $5-10.
Yep.
And they are perfect. They're reusable, they're Velcro, they're really easy to use and really easy to install. You can do this on all of your appliances at home. Basically take the slack out. You don't need to curl it up entirely like that. But if you think about... Oh, cool. Already there.
Really? We're nearly up to an hour.
Just keep going until people stop watching.
Have we missed anything?
Look, there's always stuff to miss. There's so much stuff we can go through.
There was one question specifically about lamps. Is there anything you can think of with lamps for making sure you take care of them over time, apart from just looking after the cords?
Well, I mean, again, the main contact points with the light bulb are open to air, and so if you leave that for a long time, you'll get dust on the contact points on the terminal that you put your light bulb into. So exactly the same thing. You just want to, and that's even easier than obviously taking a DVD player apart. You can take the light bulb out, just make sure you brush anything out with just like a household brush like that. After you've unplugged it.
Oh, yeah, after you've unplugged it, of course. Safety first.
Make sure all of your appliances are unplugged constantly if you're going to listen to us. After you've unplugged it, you can take the light bulb out and give it a clean out with something like this, or blow it out with air if you want, but generally this is pretty easy. And that will happen over time. The dust will connect, and you might, over time you might damage your light bulb. It's not a huge issue, but it's worth doing. It's worth doing with all of these things. You put aside a day a month, and you just, you invite your friends over and clean your microwave.
The axiom is, I don't know if you said this before, if you maintain your things, they should never break.
Well, I mean,
is that true?
Never is difficult.
Never, yeah, I know, because you fall on your thing.
The idea, I think, is just that if you maintain your items constantly, you're just going to have to repair less. You're going to have to spend less money and time down the track. And it makes sense economically, makes sense, just looking after your stuff anyway.
Yep. Environmentally, financially.
So, we're getting to the end.
We are. So we have to mention, so this is our second open session. So we've just started this. We've had two...
For the electrical department.
For the electrical department.
And we appreciate the questions, by the way. Send us more questions. I like that.
So we've had two for the furniture department and now two for the electrical department. And on the Bow website, it's a new sort of a digital program that we're doing. We call it RepairWorks Online. And this is one of the main parts of that, is that we have these open sessions, and we're doing we alternate every week. We do the furniture department does an open session on a particular topic, and then the electrical department does it. So
we're hoping to speak in a few other repairers as well.
Oh, really?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. Do you think there might be a bike one
Maybe.
in the future?
We are definitely looking at clothing one.
Oh, clothing?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll tune into that.
Yeah. There's a survey. So you can go onto the website. It is on the website.
There's
isn't
one
it?
in the description of this video as well.
Oh yes, there is as well. So in the description of this video on Facebook, and this will also be up on YouTube as well later on as well, won't it? You click on that and you can give some feedback. So you can say how handsome and tall and fabulous we were during the during the thing. No, it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything like that. Oh yeah, of course. No, you could give some feedback back and the sort of topics that you'd like to see, any other things you want to say. And there's one-on-one private consultations as well, and they're with our staff.
Yeah, so particularly a couple of the Bauer electrical staff, but also with woodwork. The whole idea is that remotely you can still have a chat with one of the people that work at the Bauer that have a bit of experience with these things. Have a chat about whether that repair is conductible, because so often that's the first conversation you need to have. You know, people come in, they don't actually know even if it can be fixed.
Yeah.
So our one-on-one consultations, which will be on the website.
We didn't get to do the kettle.
Oh, the kettle!
We forgot the kettle. I knew there was something we were doing.
Next week, a reveal. We're going to soak it.
I'll definitely show some pictures. Let's do it. We'll show some.
Yeah, can we post some pictures later on of the results? Because I really want to see that.
I do too.
Yeah. We're going to do it after we turn it off, and none of you get to see it. No one.
No, we'll post pictures.
Alright.
Yeah.
Coming to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nice one. So thanks for watching again. Oh yeah, are we doing that next week?
Next week.
Mm-hmm.
Fixing up old tools.
In the wood shop.
Oh, in the wood shop, of course.
Not us. So next week, same time, 11 a.m. on the Saturday. There will be Luke and Shane will be basically teaching you how to fix up all your old tools, to
It's a
restore
great
them, get
topic.
them going again.
Excellent topic.
I will definitely be tuning into that.
Yeah, that's got so much. That's got
Very
Bauer.
accurate.
That's got Bauer written all over it. Fixing up old tools.
Is the kettle showing anything even pre-boiled at the moment?
We can have a quick look, but I don't think so. Generally, the boiling is, that's the agitation that you want. Look, there's a bunch of dark grey
Oh,
water
yeah,
in
it's
there.
gone.
You can have a look.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's grabbing something.
So it's definitely starting to pull that off. And once
it's
we boil it,
agitated.
that exactly.
I'm going to check my kettle when we go home. Gracie, remind me to hi Gracie, remind me to check our kettle when we get home. And
Thank you,
and that's
everybody.
it. Thanks everyone.
We'll see you in a fortnight.
See you in a fortnight. Thanks, Griff.